The vice president says that talks with the Islamic regime in Iran are still making some progress behind the scenes, despite the latest set of demands putting the ceasefire on what President Trump calls massive life support.
Our Middle East correspondent Zach Anders joins us again live from Tel Aviv with a roundup of the week and where we stand heading into this weekend. Zach?
Well, Rick, President Trump is almost back in American soil in my home state of Alaska. My parents at 7 a.m. there. I told them, look outside, see if Air Force One has touched down yet at Elmendorf, the Air Force Base there. Looks like he's probably just moments away from actually landing in Alaska if he hasn't just done so in the last 5 minutes. Now, the president says that he and Chinese President Xi Jinping are on the same page when it comes to Iran, with reports that China had several requests of the American president as well.
Would you consider lifting the sanctions on Chinese oil companies that buy Iranian oil?
Well, we talked about that, and I'm going to make a decision over the next few days. We did talk about that.
Now, despite the ceasefire with Iran holding on now for more than a month, this week the president declared it was on massive life support after Iran sent a 14-point reply through Pakistani mediators. We're told Washington is focused on the core demands pertaining to Iran's nuclear program, yet Tehran insists they can't and won't negotiate the nuclear file unless their other demands are met, including sovereignty over the Strait of Hormuz. White House says that's just not going to fly. Iran's foreign minister and member of the negotiating team, Abbas Araghchi, is in India today for the summit of BRICS member nations. He had pointed words of his own.
So the most important issue right now is the question of trust. We cannot trust Americans at all. So everything should be exact. Everything should be defined very clearly before we can conclude a deal. Or another problem is as I said, contradictory messages, which has made us reluctant about the real intentions of Americans in these negotiations.
Now, other newsmakers, as we head into the weekend, the Iraqi parliament has approved a new government led by Prime Minister Ali al-Zaidi, ending former Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki's attempt to regain power. A win for President Trump, who, you may remember back in February, he strongly opposed al-Maliki leading Iraq, calling the hardline Shia Islamist candidate a disaster and a very bad choice. The president had threatened to cut all support to Iraq if he had regained power. Now, to our north in Lebanon, the IDF says a soldier was killed by Hezbollah mortar fire. The ceasefire there remains strained. The IDF issuing evacuation calls, expected to respond with airstrikes shortly. From the streets of Tel Aviv, Zach Anders, Newsmax.
Yeah, Zach needs to buckle up. It's going to be a rough weekend, I think, ahead.